Welcome to Subramani. One topic which I love talking about is risk, and there's very few people write so well as Morgan Housel, and Morgan Housel talks about how Houdini, who was more an escape artist, he was also a boxer, who used to flex his muscles in such a way that people could come and punch him in the stomach. So very clearly, he was a person who liked to make people gasp at what he did. So you could lock him up in chains and put locks all over the place, and he would come out of it slowly, quietly, surely, but he would come out of it. Similarly, he would take a punch in his stomach, and he could take it. So one day, one student walks up to him and says, "I believe you can take punches," and starts punching him. Houdini is not at all prepared for that, and he doubles up, and next day he dies, right? So these things do happen in real life, that completely unexpected risk. You don't expect that there will be risk from that quarter, and that is the risk. For example, Pearl Harbor was a risk. 2005 July, the amount of rain that Mumbai got, and our unprepared infrastructure, and I don't know whether infrastructure can ever be prepared for such a deluge of rain with high tide and all the water gushing in, whether we are ever prepared, nor whether we are still prepared. We are still not prepared for that kind of a thing, right? So risk always comes from completely unexpected sources, right? And, I'm sure Mr. Cyrus Mistry had made that trip many times in the past. I'm sure he did not wear his seat belt when he was sitting on the back seat of the car. But this time the risk came, and it came in the form of a driver, in the sense that she was driving, she hit the curb, the car, and he was not wearing a seat belt, so he was the person who died. The driver and the pillion person did not have any injuries because they were wearing a seat belt. So to know from where risk will come is very difficult, and that is what helps a lot of people market risk also. For example, when 9/11 happened, Mr. Buffett said next has to be chemical warfare. I still remember that statement. In 20 years, ISIS has not attacked any part of US with chemical warfare, but can you imagine the amount of insurance premium sold for the chemical warfare attack, right? So when there is risk, there is opportunity. Somebody is trying to sell insurance premium, right? So risk can come from anywhere. I remember once when I went into the forest, I came back, and the forest officer asked, "Did you see the tiger?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, the tiger sighted you." So it's very important to understand that the risk is always watching you. It's not that, did I ever expect that my money in an ultra short bond fund will be stuck for 1.5 years? The answer is no. You keep money in an ultra short bond fund because you don't look at yield, you look only at liquidity, right? So somebody can now say, "Oh, but you got very good returns, you got your money back." That's not the purpose. That's not the purpose for which it was kept. In fact, I was doing an SGP from that into an American fund, and of course America did not do too well. That's a different matter, but I had kept it there, so my purpose was not served. So that if I had an emergency and I needed the money, which many people had, they got I wouldn't say cheated, but they definitely got cheated out of their liquidity. So whenever you invest, you look for certain things. You look for returns when you invest in equity, and in the case of savings bank account, you look for liquidity. You don't say, "Oh, I want more returns in the savings bank account." It does not matter whether it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4%, whether it is taxable, tax-free. You still keep it there. You don't expect risk like, "Oh, sorry, but your bank will not allow you to withdraw from the savings bank account for the next 5 days," right? That's not what you expect. So completely unexpected, like Houdini was completely unexpected. Risk always comes from totally not accepting that it can come from there, right? For example, when I'm investing in equity funds, I'm accepting that it can fall by 30% and it will not bother me, right? Am I prepared for a 70% fall or an 80% fall? The answer is no, maybe no, definitely no. So what should I do? I should put at least that much money which I won't need for 8-9 years, because I know if the market has a vertical fall, it'll have a vertical recovery also, right? It may be not so much vertical, maybe it will fall in one day and it will recover in 2 months, 3 months. But okay, maybe if I have money for 10 years, then I'm not worried whether it is 2 months or 2 years. So that I ensure myself that if there is risk like that, I protect myself. So similarly, risk in debt, I say, okay, I will put only in a gilt fund. So I don't want to run any risk, but I run the risk of inflation. I run the risk that interest rates might go up further, and I would take a portfolio loss. I know those kind of risks. The problem is with risk which you don't see, don't anticipate at all. So when Pearl Harbor happens, you're sure that the Americans are going to the Japanese are going to attack California, they're going to attack Los Angeles, right? You think that will happen. For example, after that water deluge in Mumbai in July 2005, everybody started carrying a can in their car, so that in case the car is stuck somewhere, they could break the glass. But 2005 to 2022, it has not happened. So 17 years, it has not happened. So slowly we will believe that that was a nightmare. It can't happen again. And it could happen maybe after 300 years. It could happen after 30 years. It could happen after 3 years. It could happen this next month. Or if monsoon is over, maybe next year, right? So risk can come from places from where you don't anticipate at all. What kind of risk can happen, we don't know. So is writing a risk? Yes. Is infrastructure failing a risk in most cities? I'm not just saying Indian cities. Yes. I heard of a person who drowned in a big US city. I'm not naming the city. She and her daughter were driving. Flash floods came, daughter swam ashore, wife body was found after some time, right? These things happen when you completely unexpecting risk. You've just gone out for a drive, flash floods, and you're dead, right? So these things do happen. So you have to be prepared for those things in a way that you say, okay, some money of mine will be in gilt, some money of mine will be in liquid fund, because I want liquidity over the next 3 days, 4 days, I have to pay advance checks, or I want next for 3-4 months because I am planning to buy a property. Some money will be in ultra short bond fund, some money will be in equity, so you are diversifying yourself just in case something goes wrong, right? But still, as a percentage, you might still be 90% in equity, because that 10% itself could be huge, which you put into debt, gold, maybe cryptocurrency, maybe bitcoins, I don't know. I mean, I don't invest in any of those, but for people who do, how much will you allocate to each of this? All that will depend on your asset allocation, and you're anticipating some risk which you don't know from where it will come. Of course, we should pay attention to risk, but the problem is that kind of risk from which you have no protection is the risk which you don't understand at all. None of us know when we are going to die, but I walk into a classroom and I ask, how many of you know you're going to die? All hands go up. And when I pick up at random and say, what age will you die? And he or she will say 70, 72. And none of them would have made a will, right? So you know you're going to die, you do not know at what age you're going to die, and you're still not made a will, right? This is the kind of risk which is not worth taking. All it costs is 10,000 rupees to make a will, maybe lesser in your jurisdiction, wherever you are, right? So can you do it? Should you do it? The answer is yes. So look at some of the risks which you understand, at least cover those things. Tell your family what is to be done if you are in coma. Tell them that you don't want to be taken to the hospital, you want to be taken to the hospital, but never put in a ventilator. So if you have to go, you have to go. You know those things. So those things can be discussed, those things can be written down, those things can be notarized, right? You can be ready with those kind of risks. Some risks which is totally unacceptable, unexpected. You have to still have the ability and the brains to accept that such risks will happen, right? So about the economy, we have no clue what is going to happen. We do not know how much will inflation be. Will inflation lead to stagflation? We don't know. Whether US will go into a recession or it's already in a recession, we don't know. What is happening inside China, we don't know. So many things we don't know, but we don't accept that we do not. We don't know when we will die, but we will not make a will. I just don't understand that logic, right? So some of those things, risks which you understand, you should tackle, because some unknown risk will always remain in every portfolio. March 2020, there was risk of buying, right? Because you didn't know when it would end, and who thought that in July the market would go up. So if you had gone short on the market in March, April, May, because you said, oh my God, this is going to be end of 2020, you said, oh my God, the world is going to end. The Chinese coronavirus is going to end the world. But nothing like that happened. Market actually went up. Market said, oh, we will come out with the vaccine, we will do this, we will do that, and we actually came out of it, right? India handled the COVID much better than what the US handled, right? So all those things happened. There is nothing much you can do about some of those risks, except that you can keep on reducing the amount of money that you stake in that particular thing. If you, for example, if you have a net worth of say 15 crores or 20 crores, then taking a 35 lakh punt on buying real estate is not a risk. But buying for 8 crores or 10 crores and leveraging and hoping that you will do development with the builder and you will sell, that's a risk. So the size of the risk matters, how much you understand matters, how well prepared are you for it matters, that your spouse wants you to do it, you want to do it with her matters, what your peer pressure is doing. Do you have somebody, if you have entered into a property deal for 2 crores on a net worth of 5 crores, do you have somebody who will take it from you at exactly the same price and not at a distressed price, right? If you have that, then you're reducing the risk, because you don't know from where the risk would come. If you're 70 years of age or 65 years of age, do you want to get into a new project of buying and developing the land and then hoping to sell it off? Do you want to do it at all? Well, it's your call, because if you could live till 90 and then you say, oh my God, there was this great opportunity which I did not take. You can live with some regrets, you can live without, you don't need all the regrets, right? So sometimes when you think you're going to regret not doing, you will take the risk, right? So part of risk management is knowing what you will regret, knowing what is a permanent regret, like deciding not to have kids and suddenly at 45, you decide you want to have kids. The risk gets higher, that's about all. It's not as though you can't have kids, but the risk gets higher. You may not be around to see the kid doing well. So those kind of risks are there. So every risk has a payoff. Most risk which really hurts is something which you just can't see. Like you walk into a gym, you see a lot of equipment at eye level, but suddenly you walk in something which is at a lower level and you fall over, double over, right? These things happen in gyms. You kick a heavy weight by mistake, right? Or some weight falls on you. All those are risks which you should know that these things happen. So what do? You wear shoes. You wear good quality shoes in the gym, so that even if some weights were to fall on your leg, it would be the impact would be minimized. Of course, you need to take care, but you are doing these risk reduction techniques and measures. So concentrate on risk reduction techniques. You cannot eliminate all the risk. Thank you.